friends, and welcome back. As promised in my previous video, I'm gonna discuss about the SLF4J logging facility. Now, why SLF4J? So SLF4J is nothing but an abstract layer so that you can use any other logging framework for your application. So in this particular demo, I'm going to use the Logback Classic framework for the logging facility that I want and I want to control, because unknowingly you have been using the logging activity which is provided by the commons logging framework. As you can see, all this message getting logged inside your console. So to move ahead and to use your own logging facility, you need to first exclude the commons logging from the Spring Core as well as the commons dbcp2 which is available in the backend project, so that we can take help of our SLF4J to have the logging activity. So I've opened my pom.xml for online shopping as well as my backend project. So here in your Spring framework, that is the core one, I want to exclude that commons logging. So for that you're going to use the exclusions, that you want to exclude that one, and you're going to use the exclusion tag, and it will have the group ID and the artifact ID both as the commons login. So I've saved it. Same code, you're going to use it in your backend project as well. So here I've added that core and excluded the commons login, and we're going to exclude it from commons dbcp2 as well. So I'm gonna copy it, I'm gonna add it to commons dbcp2. So we're excluding that one. So if I now show you, initially we have this commons login inside your backend project, and if I save this one, once the workspace gets built, you can see this commons login won't be there. So once the workspace is built, you cannot find commons login here. So this is the first step that you're going to do, excluding the commons login. Now in the second step, we are going to add two dependency. One is our Logback Classic framework which implements SLF4J directly, and another one I'm going to say okay, use SLF4J, that is over your JCL. So I'm going to quickly copy this one, and we are going to copy it inside the backend pom.xml file, so that while we run test cases we have the debugging capability there as well, the logging facility available there as well. So here I'm gonna add that, and I'm gonna quickly save it. Once the workspace gets built, you can see you have your SLF4J API as well as JCL over SLF4J, and Logback Classic and Logback Core, which is automatically downloaded as a dependency for our project. Okay, once this is done, we're gonna move to our third step, that is we are going to create a logback.xml file so that we can control the message that we want to display using a specific pattern. So for that we are going to create this XML file, and it will have four elements. Configuration as the root element, it will have appender, and root is the minimum requirement that we want to have, but I'm also going to add one more element, that is the logger element. The attribute names are given in brackets, that is name and class, name, label and additivity for logger, and by default root, the label would be debug, and later on I'm going to change it to info for a specific reason. And inside logger we have appender reference and appendant reference, which will refer to the name given to the appender, and here I'm going to append it to the console you can use this logback.xml file to configure it to log the activity on a separate file also. So for that I'm going to do a separate piece of video, but not now. I'm going to keep it simple and display the logging information on the console. So let us quickly add the logback.xml file. So I'll go to source main resources. This resources is inside your source main directory, and I'm gonna add another file. This would be XML file, and the name of this XML file would be logback, and finish. Once this is done, you're going to add the root information, that is the configuration element, because XML requires it has to have a root element. So the root element for this logback.xml file is configuration, because we are configuring logback to use, and it will have another element, that is the appender element. Appender, the name of this appender would be, I'm keeping it as console appender, and the class would be ch.qos.logback.core.console appender. Here you're going to specify the encoder, and for encoder you're going to specify the pattern. The P is going to be capital, so remember that, and we are going to specify the pattern of the message that we want to display. So for that I have already created a pattern that is like this. So I'm going to discuss this pattern also. This phi means the number of characters, and it should be left justified. The label, there are different labels like debug, trace, info, warn, error. So everything, if you notice, it would be maximum of 5 characters, and it should be left justified. There will be a space and the message that we want to display in the logging, the time of that logging event, and the logger from where that message is coming. Basically it is going to be a class from where we are going to log the activity, and we want to separate every logging information on a separate line. So that is what this pattern means. So it is the very simplest of pattern which I have created. And the next thing that I am going to add is root. By default the label of root is debug, so I am going to just add the appender reference, and reference will be equal to the name of this appender which we created. So it is going to be console appender. Close. I'm also going to add a logger. The name would be for where I want this logger information to be available, so that I can log that activity. So I want it to be available inside our group ID, because I have a package naming convention using this group ID only. So for every classes which is available in this particular packages, that is net.kzn, I want this logger to be available, and the level of this logger would be info. Initially I am keeping it as info for demonstration purpose. Later on I am going to change it, and here also you are going to specify the appender reference. So I'm going to just copy this code. So all those information will be also available in console appender. So once this is done, you just save it. So we added the logger as well as the root. That is what I have written in my other step. That is, we are going to add the logger and the root element. If you want to read, you can just pause this video and read the different patterns that I've used and what does it means. Okay, now our time is to test this particular logger inside our controller. So the controller I am going to use is page controller. So I'm going to open our page controller. So inside this page controller I'm going to create an object. Logger factory dot get logger for this particular class. So the class name is page controller dot class, and end it with a semicolon. Now you need to do that import for logger. So if I do Control Shift O, it will ask me which logger I want. So I want the SLF4J. Just remember this thing, I'm going to use this SLF4J logger. and the other logger factory will come also from the SLF4J. So remember this thing, to select logger and logger factory from SLF4J. So here I'm going to write two statements, that is logger dot info. So this is going to be the message for %msg. So I'm going to write inside page controller index method, and similarly I'm going to also write it for debug. So this is for label debug and this is for label info. Okay, so two logger information, we'll see which logger information we are able to display. But for that, first of all, we are going to again do a quick restart and open the console for your viewing. So you can see this logging activity is for Apache Tomcat. Then I will see our application logging activity. Once I press enter here, because I've refreshed my application, on the console, now you can see I'm getting this debug information, which is very fine. You can see what is happening at every step. So basically you're debugging your application. So you can read through what is happening. We have to wait till it gets completed. So finally our application has been debugged. As you can see, we have the message, but this message is coming basically because of the pattern that we provided. So this is the label, the message, the time, you can see, as well as from which particular logger it is coming. So if I show you the info message that I have added, that is this one, inside page controller index method. So it is giving me like this n.k.o.controller.page controller. So basically the logger of this particular message is our page controller class, and but if you notice something, it is coming twice. Okay, why this is happening? And even our debug message is not been displayed because the logback.xml, the default label is debug only for root. So it is giving for your root application but not for this particular package. And next thing, if any logging activity that happens for this particular logger will also be propagated to the root. That's why we are seeing this info, that is this info, inside page controller index method twice. So how can I avoid that thing? And so I can avoid it using additivity equal to false, so that the message does not get appended twice. Plus I'm going to keep the label as debug for my class also, because I am going to debug many things later on as the complexity of the application increases. And I'm going to change the root because I don't want to see all the information of the Spring framework that comes up in my console. All this debug information coming from my Spring framework So here I'm going to say the label should be kept to minimum, that is info. But yes, I want that info to be present in my console whichever I'm using in my page controller. So debug and info would be there, and since the additive is false, it is not going to display twice. So I just need to show a demo of the same. So let me go to this one and again restart my application, show the console after making changes to my logback.xml file. So initial the logging activity for your Apache Tomcat. Okay, the port was already started, so it is stopped, and I'm gonna start it once again. So you can see this logging activity is for your Apache Tomcat. So once my Tomcat server is started, okay, it has taken more than 45 seconds, so I need to start it once again. If you find that kind of an error, if it's taking more time, so what you can do, you can simply click it and you can go to timeouts. You can change the seconds. I'm going to keep it for 2 minutes 60 seconds, and again I'm going to try and restart my server. Open my console once again, because I need to show that changes which I've done, that is keeping our logger as debug and root level to only info. So what I will do a refresh also of my application. So finally, after doing that refresh, I can see only info coming here, and now we don't have any debug information. So you can see there is no debug information coming here except for the one which I have written inside our page controller. If I open this page controller, you can see we have this info and debug. And if I open the console, still taking time to load. You can see all the URL that has been mapped. Now you can see both the information, that is info and debug, and it is not coming twice like how it was coming twice for me previously for info, because I changed the additivity to false, and you can see the application running here. So that's how you can implement logback classic framework inside console. In my next part, I'm going to show you how to handle exception, that is globally. Okay, so why I'm doing this specific piece, because if you see in our project, if I click on this view product and if I click here, it will display the product properly, no issue. But if someone tries to manipulate my URL and just put it like this, then there is no 100 product available in my website, I will get this error. So I don't want to show this internal server error this way. Even if someone tries to write URL like this XYZ, which is not available, I'll get this 404 error. Instead of this, I should show a customized error page that will guide the user. Okay, something has happened wrong in the address bar like that, which I want to show in the next part. So stay tuned, it is going to be very interesting. Thanks for so much.